What we're doing is completely new, unrivaled, and revolutionary. This technology will reshape and redefine energy production and consumption across all existing industries for commercial and private usage. I almost said across the galaxy. To understand the significance of this finding, consider the context of this discovery. In nature, uranium-235 has a half-life of 700 million years. In contrast, the QKW substantially reduces uranium-235 in a matter of hours, with the power to neutralize hazardous water from decommissioned radioactive capsules. The QKW represents the alchemist's dream for controlling the periodic table. Okay, so what does that immediately make me think of? I don't know about you guys, but it immediately makes me think of Bob Lazar and his story of manufacturing elements that were not known to other people. And what did they do? They used hydrogen.
I am afraid of the dark.
Hey there, hello, welcome to Inspired Earth. Super happy to have you into season 2. We're gonna have a pretty quick one here. Well, pretty quick, but it's gonna be about fusion. It's gonna be about hot and cold fusion. China had built a huge fusion research facility. As well, France had beat the Chinese time for longest fusion drive, continuously operating for like, I think 1,400 seconds, which is around 20 something minutes. And that was beat everybody else. So I'm sure somebody else will beat them. And that was only a couple days after the Chinese had done their own. They beat their own record. So let's learn about this giant compound from Reuters from January 28th, 2025. New Chinese facility could aid nuclear weapons design or power generation. Laser fusion research important since nuclear testing banned. Experiment bay at facility in Mianyang is 50% larger than the US NIF. Singapore, January 28th. China appears to be building a large laser-ignited fusion research center in the southwestern city of Mianyang. Experts at 2 analytical organizations say a development that could aid nuclear weapon design and work exploring power generation. Satellite photos show 4 outlying arms that will house laser bays and a central experiment bay that will hold a target chamber containing hydrogen isotopes. The powerful lasers will fuse together, producing energy, said Decker Eveleth, a researcher at a US-based independent research organization, CNA Corp. Satellite images reveal China's laser fusion research facility. Let me scroll down, it's just repeating itself. It is similar to a layout to the 3.5 billion US National Ignition Facility, NIF, so that's what it stands for, National Ignition Facility, in Northern California, which in 2022 generated more energy from a fusion reaction than the lasers pumped into the target, known as scientific break-even. Eveleth, who is working with analysts at James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, CNS, estimated the experiment bay at the Chinese facility is about 50% bigger than the one at NIF, currently the world's largest. The development has never previously been reported. Any country with an NIF type facility can and probably will be increasing their confidence and improving existing weapons design and facilitating the design of future bomb designs without testing the weapons themselves. I mean, maybe. I'm not a nuclear weapons manufacturer, so I have no idea on that. Like theoretically, they could do that. That's the thing with atomic and nuclear energy is that you can do all sorts of stuff with it. Which, if you're a bad actor, you can put that on somebody else and say, "Oh, look, they're doing such and such," and you can have evidence that goes either way because you can do whatever with it. So I just wanted to point that out that they're saying it's a possibility, but I mean anything could be a possibility. But I just thought that that was interesting. But China's foreign ministry referred to Reuters questions to the competent authority. China's science and technology ministry did not respond to a request for comment. The U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence also declined to comment. In November 2020, U.S. Arms Control Envoy Marshall Billingsley released satellite images he said showed China's buildup of nuclear weapons support facilities. It included images of Mianyang showing a cleared plot of land labeled New Research Production Areas since 2020 or 2010, excuse me. That plot is the site of the Fusion Research Center, called the Laser Fusion Major Device Laboratory, according to construction documents that Eveleth shared with Reuters. Stages of nuclear-induced fusion. Laser-induced fusion involves using high-powered lasers to compress and heat fuel to achieve nuclear reaction. The stages include heating, compression, ignition, and energy release. And there's these 4 little pictures here. And before I go on, I just have to mention that it's talking about using lasers and shooting it into hydrogen. And I had talked about my family seeing lasers in use in Yellowstone, specifically my grandfather, who was a trucker who delivered gases out there, which hydrogen can be a gas. He was delivering mainly argon and oxygen, but who knows? But I've talked about hydrogen a lot, as well as fusion and specifically laser fusion. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is a bunch of plot points that are kind of all coming together. And once again, we're talking about a hot laser fusion, just to reiterate that. So nuclear testing. Igniting fusion fuel allows researchers to study how such reactions work and how they might one day create a clean power source using the universe's most plentiful resource, hydrogen, which I've been a big hydrogen advocate. I mean, since I started reading about how versatile it is, it's crazy that we're not using it. Seems like China is all over hydrogen. They're having hydrogen-powered trucks. We could have hydrogen-powered trucks. Hydrogen-powered trucks are great in the cold. Up there in Alaska and Canada, hydrogen-powered trucks would be great for them because electric doesn't work that good in the cold. So that's one of the times that hydrogen would really excel. It also enables them to examine nuances of detonation that would otherwise require an explosive test. See, this is where they're getting into the whole, is it peaceful or is it not peaceful type of thing, which it's almost impossible to tell which is which because they both do the same thing. So it's kind of interesting. But the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, of which both China and the United States are signatories, prohibits nuclear explosions in all environments. Countries are allowed subcritical explosive tests, which do not create nuclear reactions. Laser fusion research, known as inertial confinement fusion, is also allowed. Siegfried Hecker, a senior fellow at Freeman Spigoli Institute for International Studies and the former director of Los Alamos National Laboratory, another key U.S. nuclear weapons research facility, said that with testing banned, subcritical and laser fusion experiments were crucial to maintaining the safety and reliability of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. So They're saying that we're doing the exact thing that we're accusing the Chinese of doing. So that's kind of interesting. It's kind of, there's a saying, every accusation is an admittance or something like that. That's not the exact one. I can't remember right now, but that's basically what it is. Like every time we accuse somebody of something, we're basically like admitting it. That's what we're doing secretly. That's usually how it goes. But for countries that have not done many test detonations, he said China has tested 45 weapons, compared with 1,054 for the United States. Wow, one of those seems much larger than the other. 45 compared to 1,054. Such experiments would be less valuable because they do not have a large data set as a base. I don't think it would make an enormous difference, Hecker said. And so I'm not concerned about China getting ahead of us in terms of their nuclear facilities. So here Hecker is saying that he doesn't even think that it's like super effective for them for weapons manufacturing. That we might just be totally projecting, basically, or manufacturing these accusations. I mean, if there's evidence for it, then there's evidence for it. But I'm just seeing something that's very speculative, and that's basically what Hecker said right here, is that he's not concerned of China getting ahead of us in terms of their nuclear facilities, because it wouldn't make an enormous difference based on the tests and stuff. That's what they're saying. So it doesn't matter. Other nuclear powers, such as France and the United Kingdom and Russia, also operate inertial confinement fusion facilities. The size of those facilities reflects the amount of power designers estimate is needed to apply to the target to achieve ignition, said Omar Hurricane, chief scientist for the Inertial Confinement Fusion Program at Lawrence Liverpool National Laboratory, which operates NIF. These days, I think you can probably build a facility that's equal energy or even more energetic than NIF and in a smaller footprint, Hurricane said. But he added, at too small a scale, experimental fusion does not appear possible, which I disagree with. I think that is what are some of the things that we're seeing in the sky are definitely using experimental fusion and on a miniaturized scale. That's 100% what we're seeing, at least in some cases. I've said that for years because that's what the evidence shows, and this is kind of what we're seeing here. So, think about this sentence that I just read too, right here. I even put it in red, that at too small a scale, experimental fusion is not possible. He doesn't think. I mean, he's not saying it is a fact, but that's just his opinion. But that other countries operate laser-driven fusion centers is not a cause for alarm itself. It's kind of hard to stop scientific progress and hold information back. People can use science for different means and different ends, and that's a complicated question. So, kind of like what I was saying is that these science can be used for multiple different things. We don't know what they're using these facilities for. We most likely, well, I mean, we do, in that they're trying to improve their power and energy, but are they trying to make some crazy bomb? I don't know. I'm kind of hesitant to believe that until we have some evidence of that. It seems like our people were the ones that admitted to trying to do that. But if we're trying to do it, then maybe they are too. But we don't always align the United States and China in strategy and tactics and like ideology of technology. So it could be possible that there's a big difference between those two things, and especially regarding the economy and what materials and money goes to what. So food for thought on that. And now we're going to go to the complete opposite version of that. So that came out, what we just read was from January 28th. Okay? Now forget everything I just read. Because everything I just read is the exact opposite of what I'm just going to read. And guess what this is from? From Reuters. The exact same source. Or newspaper, rather. Quantum Kinetics Corporation's Arc Reactor cold nuclear fusion technology ready for industry. Well, we had that in the back room, didn't we? In some warehouse out in the middle of the desert or underneath the earth or wherever. This has been back there. I've been talking about cold fusion for a long time. And here we are. You know, there's a lot of different types of fusion, but I'm pretty convinced that cold fusion, or at least not a super hot fusion, has to be some at least plausible. I think that if we have miniaturized fusion type devices, then it's more likely for me to think that they would have come up with a cold nuclear fusion technology that wouldn't require the heat of the sun. Because, like, these other fusion ones are like making it, so much power that they're making it hotter than the surface of the sun, or even in the middle of the sun. They talked about making a quasar, trying to make a quasar on the Earth, and that's a crazy amount of power. But here we have a totally different like way of doing it that I think this technology has probably been around for a while, but it seems like it may be more advanced than the hot laser fusion. I'm not sure, honestly, but it does seem like they held this one back further than the hot fusion. And that could be because it's more efficient and it actually works better. That would be my guess. Um, so, Seattle, Washington, February 5th, Quantum Kinetics Corporation, an American company, has ushered in a dramatic shift in nuclear power evolution with their unmatched discovery, Arc Reactor technology. The company calls the process safe nuclear. Quantum kinetics research with heavily spiked radioactive water proved that using the company's patented quantum kinetics well, they are speeding up radioactive beta decay and at the same time fabricating unique and useful atomic elements through transmutation. Tested and verified over 3 years at national laboratories in the US, the power of the KW quantum kinetics well is far more effective than the high temperature, high cost electrocoagulation (EC) methods for radioactive water purification, or atomic transmutation from large particle accelerators, cyclotrons, and or bulk ion heating tokamak reactors. Fascinating. That's basically what we were just reading about. So it's way more efficient and it's cold, which is like the exact opposite of what they were just saying is possible. All these, you know, they're scientists, but I mean, I would have a try not to call them a name, but I would want to call them a name. But we'll just move on. I don't want to name call anybody. But those other people, I feel like they kind of knew that they were gatekeeping this sort of information, and I feel like some of these scientists put out stuff that goes in the opposite direction. Like they just said this is not possible, and here we are a month later, or no, it wasn't. It was like 6 days later or 2 weeks later. What was it? January 28th, and this is February 5th. So the next week, the very next week, this came out. It's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. The technology was discovered by McCain Lee, the visionary CEO and president of QKC. Driven by an unwavering passion for scientific advancement with limited resources, Lee embarked on a solitary journey that spanned 7 years. Secluding himself within the confines of a humble garage laboratory, he meticulously worked with electronic scraps, constructing and transforming them into the cornerstone of his revolutionary technology. It's crazy. Thus, Lee awakened a $40 trillion industry from a mere $40 toy, the Arc Reactor, which I'm pretty sure I've played with, maybe, if I'm thinking of the same thing. Maybe I haven't. I'm not sure. I think if it's the little arc lighter, then I've definitely played with those before. QKC's indigenous design incorporation of the arc reactor allows for the unique quantum kinetic well phenomenon, which generates instantaneous fusion temperature safely. Which generates instant fusion temperatures safely. These localized fusion events occur at room temperature without excessive waste energy. So this is like exact what they were just saying is totally impossible. This is exactly what this is. And I think that the craft and the sky have something like this going on. From traditional bulk ion plasma heating, the arc reactor technology triggers safe cold neutrons in contrast to characteristically unviable hot fusion approaches. So it's saying it's more effective. Quantum Kinetics Arc Reactor utilizes a unique microcyclotron approach, particle oscillations, as an energy generator to simulate safe nuclear on demand. Thus, cold fusion plasma is immediately manifested, resulting in high levels of X-ray energy without increasing localized thermal heat damage to the reactor, which in legacy fusion methods destroys the reactors by fast neutron bombardment. Okay, what did that just mean? This cold fusion plasma immediately manifests, resulting in high levels of X-ray energy without increasing localized thermal heat damage. Okay, so it produces X-rays without heat. It's fascinating. Further settings QKC's vision apart from other nuclear fusion companies is its economic utility and vast opportunities for rapid deployment in any environmental setting where water is present. And what do we see most of these crafts coming out of? Water. It's kind of obvious, right? And what is water made out of? Hydrogen. I've been talking about the same stuff, just with different words, for years. A key advantage of QKW operation is sustainability at a very low input power. That's really fascinating. That means that it can be small. Rigorous research reveals the revolutionary device successfully disassociates radioactive wastewater between 4.73 to 11.4 watts per second of electrical input. A modular version of QKW can be economically run by a 100-watt solar panel charge controller and a 12-volt or 24-volt battery. We can do a fusion. A 12-volt battery. That's hilarious. Like a fire detector, your fire alarm is a 12-volt battery. That same thing can do which also is radioactive, hilariously. Fire alarms work off of americium. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Or radioactive element. Also powered by a 12-volt battery. That cracked me up, made me lose my focus. Meaning, in practical application, isotope editing can be powered by the energy from the sun at almost any location around the world, an astonishing scientific feat. And once again, we've seen that some of these craft in the air seem to be absorbing light. Seems to be, or even producing light in some of those cases. Seems like it can do both. QKC's sustained nuclear fusion is similar to active galactic nucleus, AGN, such as all cosmic blackbody reactors. I have no idea what that is. I'm gonna have to look that up. This form of electrophysical transmutation energy is real, quantifiable, and measurable within the state-of-the-art industry detectors XR110CR and Pulse TR-SDD. Okay, I think I might know what the first one is. And I think that that's like a X-ray detector machine.